Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Roddy. Today we're gonna be doing a transmission flush on my Scion TC 2010. This is very normal procedure, and whenever time car get to 100,000+ miles, cleaning out the as much transmission fluid out as much as possible, and also replacing the filter. And this is one of the procedures that we usually do and charge for. And now that I'm gonna give you this information, so now you can do it yourself and save you a few $100s. All right, so let's get into it. You're going to need a set of ramps. Then locating the transmission plug for the transmission fluid. Now you are going to drain the fluid. Just make sure you're ready for when this thing drops. As it's draining, you can remove the 10mm bolts around the pan. Now go ahead and put back in the drain plug. After removing the 10 bolts, you are going to need a flathead screwdriver, and you're going to put it between the pan and the transmission and twist downward. And make sure you use your other hand for support, so that this way the pan doesn't fall on you and make a mess. There are 3 10 bolts that's holding the filter. You are going to need to remove those 3 bolts. Now go ahead and remove the filter, but be careful, it still has fluid inside. Now we have here our new filter with the seal on it. I didn't get a seal with the new one, so I reused the seal from the old one. I'm just going to use the bolts for now to get everything in line. Now that everything is in line, just press it in. For this video purposes, I am just removing the bolts so you can see that it is in now. See, it's holding up by its own weight. That means that it's in. Now you could always just go back in and just put the screws back in. You don't really have to do this, it's just that I want to show that it is in. It is best that you tighten it by hand because you don't want to crack the filter. When installing the seal for the transmission oil pan, this is the best way of doing it. You're going to use the bolts, basically installing the bolts into the pan, into the seal, so this way they're inlined. It's going to make your life so much easier by doing it this way. Now just give the surface a little wipe down so that this way you could there's no oil leaking anywhere. How easy that is. Installing the transmission oil pan with all the bolts already aligned. But do not get carried away because you have to catch all the bolts first before you start tightening everything, because if you don't catch all the bolts first before you start tightening, you can cross thread the bolts and you don't want to do that. And yes, I did take some time to clean up the transmission pan because I had it out and I believe it was the best time to actually do it while it was out. So I'll say take the time to do any miscellaneous work that's needed to be done while you have it out. Now just go over it with your hand to make sure everything is at a proper torque and you should be good to go. To locate the dipstick for the transmission, which is where you're also going to fill the transmission from, is going to be between the exhaust and the battery, right by the upper coolant hose. You're going to need a funnel that fits into the filler neck, and you're to put at least 5 quarts in first and check before you do anything else. The level is going to be off because, remind you, you just drained the whole entire fluid. So the car is going to be cold, so you need to bring it up to at least in the middle between these two marks. Once you bring it up between the two marks, go ahead and lower the car off the ramps. Now you're going to need the car to come up to temperature. So as it's coming up to temperature, go ahead and add fluid into it. Just try to maintain the fluid in the middle as it's achieving temperature. Now each time as you add the fluid, make sure the car is not running when you're adding the fluid. Only check it when it's running. Now we're good. So next thing, check the bottom to make sure it's not leaking and take it on a road test. Now go back and forth, basically go in reverse and drive, and back in reverse, making sure the gears are switching perfectly. And then once you get on the road, you start going through the gears, each level of it. So you're gonna go through every single level of gear, which is low, high, third, second, whatever the gear may be on your vehicle. And on this one, it's just low and high in second. So just go through the gears, make sure everything is shifting properly. And once everything is shifting properly, take it in the highway, and you're pretty much solid. And yes, even neutral. So I hope that this video helped, and now you can go out and do your own transmission flush. Just go to the auto parts store and get your parts, and you're pretty much good to go. Check out the next video on an oil change. It's gonna things like this side or that side somewhere. And don't forget to subscribe and like the video, and I'll see you next one. Have a good day. Peace. Or night. Whatever it is. You know what time you're watching this.